Welcome back into the studio. PA Today's Sports Show, another special playoff edition. I brought in a good friend of mine tonight. He's still in the playoffs coaching. Mike Bongivengo, 2024 Big 7 champ, second-year head coach, 15-5. First off, I want to ask you, what's it been like only in 2 years? Not too many people get this opportunity to coach in big football games in the WPIAL in the first 2 years coaching. What's it been like?
I mean, it's a blessing, honestly. I have a great staff and great community around us, and obviously, good football players as well. And on top of it all, they're great young men. So it is a blessing to be able to, walk out every day and have the community support and have the staff that we have here together and working together. And I really, truly do feel blessed to be able to walk out every day onto that field with the guys, the coaching staff, our athletic trainer. I don't get caught up too much in the, hey, where we're at right now. It's just that moment, right? It's the next week. It's the next week. It's the next week. And even in the offseason, it's the next week. We got to progress day in and day out. So, it is a really cool opportunity, obviously, to be sitting in the position we're in. And I'm just grateful for it. I really am, for the community and everybody else.
100%, 100%. Before we get into everything, I want to kind of take it back, and then we're going to work to today.
Perfect.
How are the boys? How are they? Is everybody healthy, or are you guys still banged up? Because we were talking before, you said you're a little bit banged up this year.
Oh, we're healthy. Our guys are ready to rock. The guys that played last week all made it out of last week healthy, so we got the same cast of characters back in this week. It's been a year. It's been a good year. We've learned a lot about ourselves as not just this 2025 Neshannock Lancer team, but as a program as a whole. We really have leaned on each other a lot when adversity has hit, whether it's injuries or, things within house or whatever it may be. Our guys really have finally found that love. They found a love of the game for each other, and they really do care about one another on and off the field. They want to see each other succeed. They hang out together. So they really have found that, that niche, right, if you want to call it that, where they are playing together, and they're day by day, just like I said a little bit ago, is they're taking it day by day. We can't click it, right? Like I always say with Adam Sandler to our guys, we don't got that click remote where you can fast forward every Friday, right? You got to put in the day's work.
Yeah.
And our guys really have accepted that, it is a grind, and they're ready to go. For
sure. We were just talking a little bit off camera before we get into week 0 and we talk about the loss. Can you speak about, some of the losses, some of the guys we lost to graduation, and some of the biggest positions that we had to fill this year?
We lost up front. We'll start up front. Everything we all know in football goes up front. We lost 2 starters on our offensive line. We'll talk offense and defense. We lost Connor Flannery and Tony Parada, which we know Tony Parada is a Duquesne now. He redshirted this year. Obviously, Tony had been a 3-4 year starter essentially for Neshannock. And it was a big loss. That leadership, that intensity, like my man Tony, no matter if it was Monday and a walkthrough in July,
bringing it.
Yeah, he brought it, right?
Yeah.
So, we had to find some guys to replace that. Connor Flannery was a kid who just played 1 year, but he started at left tackle. He came right in and started at left tackle as a senior who hadn't played since, I think he tried 8th grade he might have played, was his last time he played, if I remember correctly. So losing those guys hurt. Braden Montgomery was a tight end for us and played some D-line and linebacker. Really good football player. Having to replace him on both sides of the ball was something we knew that we had to do. And then obviously Dom Cabellis was another big one. Dom was a guy that had been, once again, a staple in the starting rotation in Neshannock on both sides of the ball, playmaker on both sides. I mean, defensively, you knew you could put him on the number 1 guy, and he was going to give it all he got, and he was going to go 110%. Yeah. Offensively, you got the ball in his hands. He was making plays. Same thing. Like that Mohawk game last year, I mean, Dom scored in all 3 phases of the game.
Dom was a playmaker,
Yeah, he made plays. So we knew we had some big holes to fill. We lost our kicker as well, even though he's a 1-year kicker.
Yeah.
We lost Nicky Bender, and we were able to replace him with a kid who had been kicking his whole life, which was great. But, yeah, we knew coming into it, obviously all the way back in January, that we had some holes to fill, and our guys attacked it. And we were able to find some guys to step up and make plays. Yeah, they weren't the same players, but we had guys make plays and get to where we are today, help us get to where we are today.
For sure. We're going to get to those guys, but let's get to week 0. We took an early lump. Lost to Mohawk. What was not working in that game for us?
The crazy part is we had a great camp. Like, we went through camp and we felt really good about where we were at coming into camp. We know Mohawk. I mean, it's a crosstown rivalry. Like I always say, like, cool part being here at Neshannock, you play everybody in Lawrence County, and I think that's awesome, right?
Yeah, and you grew up here, so you understand the crosstown rivalry.
Exactly, right? Exactly. Even though I might have went to Newcastle, you still
get
what it was.
Yeah, you know what it is.
Yeah. So we knew Mohawk was a really good football team. They're really well coached. I mean, they got playmakers all over the field. They were big up front. And when we got into that game, I think we scored the second play of the game. We felt pretty good. And then defensively, we just, we were still trying to find it, right? We weren't clicking the way we needed to on defense. And offensively, the same thing as well. And once again, you give a good football team like Mohawk a lead, they're going to hold on to it, right? Yeah. They know how to run the football. They know how to take care of it. They got an unbelievable playmaker in Bobby Fadden. I love that kid. He's a great kid. I talk to him, when I see him all the time.
I love Bobby.
He's such a good guy.
Such a good kid,
kid. With a bright future in life, right?
Five-sport athlete.
Yeah. Stud.
Yeah.
Just good. I mean, and like I said, Coach does a really good job over there. And we just, we didn't put it together, right? And it was like we always say, those losses are lessons. And I think our guys learned from that early on, that we have to come together. We got to play for each other. Can't do our own thing sometimes or get out of position because then you create some lanes or, you miss a block. You're stepping left when you should be going right on the offense, right? So we were doing a lot of learning there, right? Doing a lot of learning. So that week 0 loss definitely lit a fire, though, for our guys. They knew the rest of the way, like, we had to play better. And they really took it a lot more serious. You see the huddle film intake jump up a little bit after that. A little bit, yeah. So it was nice. It was a good loss, I should say. You know what I mean? You never want to lose a game, right? But our guys learned from it. For
sure. I mean, you learn quick. 5 straight after that. Mm-hmm. What did we learn? And, what would you say the guys did well in those next 5 games?
They took the off-the-field stuff a little bit more serious, right? Okay. Like getting into the film room, right? Really locking in. Like when we send the practice scripts out, those off-the-field things, they really started to take ownership of them, right? And they knew, our conference is a tough conference. But we had to take it game by game, and we couldn't look ahead, right? We couldn't look past our non-conference and only worry about our conference. Those next 5 weeks, once again, we learned a lot about ourselves. We played a Union football team who's always well coached, right? And we were able to get out on them early and win that football game. The Elwood game came down to the last play. So, we've been in those battles, and I was really happy in those first 3 weeks. A loss, a win where you jump on a team early, and then literally dogfight to the last play of the game where we score with about 12 seconds left to go up against Elwood in our non-conference was nice to see. So we were battling through all those adversities. Obviously, the next week was Rochester that ended up getting canceled. We went to Northgate. Gino didn't play that game, our starting quarterback. We had Nico Mador step in, and that's really where I think all of our guys were like, man, next man up mentality. Like Nico stepped in, did a great job, led us to a victory against Northgate. So, I think that's when it really started to click for our guys. Like, man, when I get my shot, I got to make plays, right? And that's what you've seen happen there. So I was really happy to see us progress over those 5 games.
100%. The last 3, we dropped 2 out of 3. Right? We face adversity early and we face it late. I was speaking with you. I know. I said there's no shame in this because you guys persevered and you fought through it. There's got to be some satisfaction in that. Mm-hmm. Let's stick to the script here. We'll get to that.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Yep.
But we dropped that game to Southside, and they give it to us, 35-7. Yep. Were we off, or did they just come on and have the right game plan that night?
Once again, another really well-coached football team.
Yeah, Coach always, yes.
They run their system, and they run it well. I think we as a staff maybe didn't put our guys in the best positions to succeed in that game. And that was, once again, something we learned as a staff, right? Like, we got to put our guys in better positions to succeed, and they took it to us. And, we challenged our guys the next week. We knew what was coming with Summit and Laurel to finish out the year. We knew we were in the playoffs already. So we needed to right that ship and kind of get that momentum back. And once again, you give Southside a lead, you're going to be –
That's tough.
Yeah, you're playing from behind.
Systematic football, yeah, it's tough.
And there was a few times in that game, we're moving the football, we shoot ourselves in our foot. Like, you can't have that against a good football team like that. You can't do those things. You can't have self-inflicted wounds. You create a big play, you fumble the football, right? Just little things like that we had control of, and we didn't control the right way. So, once again, Southside, great football team. We just, weren't prepared properly, and when that happens, you see what happens. You lose 35-7 to a good football team, and our guys had 2 choices: either bounce back or pack it in, and they bounced back for sure. Yeah, we for sure bounced back. We take down Summit, and then this Laurel game, you got to look at it as a coach, 14-7. You can't be that mad about that game. That was a hard-fought game. We spoke about it off camera. Yep. What were the emotions after that game? Good. Even us as a staff, like, you never want to lose a game, right?
Yeah,
you don't want to lose a crosstown rival, right? Yeah. When you have an opportunity to split the section title there, right? We knew it was at stake, but our guys, that whole week, like starting on that Monday, it was a different feeling at practice. It honestly felt like we felt during camp, right? Like during camp, we felt really good, right? Yeah. Like our guys were together, hooting and hollering for everybody that made a play, right? And that whole week of the Laurel practice was the same thing, so we had that feeling going into the game. And, once the clock hit zero, we didn't come out on the winning end. We instantly flipped the page on Saturday. Like we went right back to work on Saturday. Yeah, we didn't know who we played yet, but we went back to work and we got better and focused on what we needed to clean up there. And our guys once again came in on Saturday. Yeah, we were still a little bit down, but once we got into that film room, got into our lift and did what we needed to do, our guys turned the page and like, hey, everybody's 0-0 now. Wherever they put us, we got to spot the ball and play at the end of the day. So that was out of our control. Whatever the bracket may have been at the time. So we just knew that we had to focus on the next week and the next day, and that's really where our guys are at right now.
Wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask you this. How much better is Laurel this year?
Oh, Laurel's a great football team last year. I mean, they
were just banged up when they played you, right?
I forget about last year, right? Yeah, I forget about last year. But they're a really good football team. Coach Coop does a great job. They got big boys up front. Once again, you see, it's funny because I got guys that are on my staff that coach at the youth level and now moved up. And, you talk about the same kids from the time they're in 7th, even 5th, 6th grade, right? So Laurel can always reload, and they're a really good football team. And, for us to go out there and battle with them, yeah, we wanted to win the football game. Yeah. But they definitely, they're good football. They're in the quarterfinals for a reason as well, obviously, right? They are. That's all. That's the one thing I can't say. They're a really good football team.
Understood. How happy were we with that number 9 seed when they came out?
We just wanted to get it
in.
We just wanted it in. And we knew we were in. We didn't know where we were going to end up.
You didn't care? You just wanted to play?
We didn't care. Yeah, we just wanted to play. We wanted to get back on the right side of things. We wanted to put our best effort forward and show what we've been working for this year. We got the 9 seed. We knew about Leechburg, obviously watching you guys. You see everybody talking about Leechburg. We knew what they had, and we knew we were going to be in for a big battle. And, once we got it, we knew, hey, we got to focus on Leechburg and Leechburg only, and that's all we can focus on right now. And I know it's cliche, and that's every coach says that, but
it is really what it is. Yeah, it is what it is.
Where we were at, you dropped 2 of your last 3, you really got to be that mindset, 0-0, and that's what we were. And our guys, once again, they could have easily on Monday at practice been like, went through the motions. They didn't. They came out with energy. They came out after a loss, to their crosstown rival, and we're like, Coach, that's in the past, man. Let's focus on the future, and let's just take it day by day. And that's really what our guys did that week leading up to Leechburg.
Well, everybody's 0-0 now. One game,
1-0.
But last week when they were going into it, everyone's 0-0. So why not have that attitude?
Yeah, and they did, and I'm happy for that. They took it that way.
You guys go into Leechburg. You thumped them guys. I'm just going to put it on record like that because that's what you did in a playoff game. That means something. Seems to all come together for us, especially senior Jon Magusiak. You said to me off camera, I think playing him on defense in that Laurel game, it gets him in a little bit better of a rhythm. What was it about this game that the boys started to come together and Gino?
The Leechburg game, once again, I think 16 seniors. That's like you just said earlier about senior leadership. We got 16 seniors who've played a lot of football, been around for a while now, and they knew it was their last hurrah. And speaking, directly to Gino, playing a little defense, we knew that we were going to use him at some point on defense. And he stepped up against Leechburg. I think unofficially around 15 tackles on defense while still playing quarterback for us. So getting him in that groove of the game definitely I felt helped him. For the second part of the season, like we like to call it, it definitely helped him a ton, and it brought energy, right? And our guys played with great energy, and that's something that you try to coach, right? You try to, guys, we gotta have energy.
Can't coach energy.
Can't coach it though, and our guys played with it. And I think seeing like a leader like Gino going out there making plays on both sides of the ball helps your whole team morale as well. So I definitely think that that's where they're at, is playing with that energy. You know what I mean? And that want to.
Quarterfinals. We're heading down to Beaver. We're going to take on Fort Cherry, 2-time defending WPIAL 1A champs. How much have you seen of them over this run over the last 2 years?
Obviously watched the WPIAL title game last year and, following along. My dad actually coached Tanner when Tanner was the quarterback at Slippery Rock.
Full circle there, yeah.
So I know Tanner. He had came in right as I was leaving Slippery Rock as a GA.
Okay.
So, following Tanner as well. And then ironically, Fort Cherry played Northgate this year. They played Shenango, who are all in our
Yeah,
conference
yeah.
as well. So you've seen some of
There's
those
some
films.
matchups to go off of,
So
yeah.
you've seen some of those films as well. They're really well coached. A really good football team. They're a 2-time defending champ for a reason. You know what I mean? They don't just get there by just showing up every day,
No.
right? I mean, they work.
consistent,
and
yeah.
they're consistent, and they're a really good football team. And we're excited for the opportunity to compete against them on Friday night. We're blessed to be in that situation. I know our guys are going to try to make the most of it.
Last question. I know you're a Red Hurricane at heart.
Yep.
Last time that team won a home playoff game, you were the quarterback for them, Mike.
A lot of pounds ago, too. A lot of pounds.
When you got that result, did it feel good seeing your city back on top like that?
The funny part is, Coach Mo was my O-line coach when I was there. My dad was our head coach. Coach Mo was our O-line coach. Coach Fermi, who's their DC, was my DC at the time. Coach DePorzio was coaching the skill guys. He's my cousin, actually.
Yeah, I love Depot.
We're related. That's my cousin. So, he's there. Coach Hassan, him and my dad have been best friends their whole lives. They were born on the same day. Coach Lyles, a guy who I played with, who's a year younger than me. So, and I taught all those kids. I taught at Newcastle for a year and a half before I took this online job I do now. So I know a lot of those guys, and I know a lot of their families. And, seeing them with a victory in the playoffs, and you tweeted that out, fun fact. I was like, man, I was a lot skinnier back then, But it was awesome to see. I mean, we're all in a group message. Me and my boys who played together in Newcastle couldn't be happier to see the program back to where it is. Hopefully they go take care of business Friday night and then go on and bring some gold back home. It's been a while. It's been since '98. We lost in the semifinals my senior year, and I think Geno Stone's senior year or junior year, that was when they lost in the finals. I can't remember.
2016.
Yeah, they lost in the finals to TJ that year.
TJ every year, right?
Yeah, right,
Jesus.
right. So, we couldn't be happier. And once again, Coach Mo's like family to me. I mean, literally, when I got the Neshannock job right after he had left, he's done nothing but support me from there. We still see each other all the time. His grandson plays T-ball with my son. So we see each other. We talk a lot. I talk to all those guys, and just like we all do on both staffs, we root for each other because a lot of my staff's a lot of Newcastle guys as well.
Yeah.
So we couldn't be happier to see the success that Newcastle and Coach Mo has there. And we knew it was only a matter of time, and we couldn't be happier to see the Canes where they're at right now.
100%. Mike, always a
My
pleasure,
man.
baby.
Appreciate you.
Go shock the WPIAL Friday night.
We're going to do our best.
We all know there's an advantage to being the home team, to playing at home. And at LGKG, we have been your home team for over 90 years.
We're more than just a law firm. We're your friends, your neighbors, an advocate when life takes an unexpected turn.
We're not just lawyers that practice law. We live in this community, just like you.
When you need us most, we're at our best.
Welcome back into the studio. Special thanks to a good friend of the show, Coach Mike Bongivengo. So we're going to get right into the brackets. Finally, time to talk about some 6A WPIAL football. First game we're going to talk about, Big Macs versus the Vikings. These two teams played last week. As he gets the brackets up on here, there's only 4 teams, as we know, and I think this is the most lopsided game of the week, in my opinion. It's just a weird spot to be in as you played Cannon Mac last week. I think Central obviously has too much firepower, but I think anytime that you play a team back-to-back weeks, and especially like a sport such as football, they're going to naturally pick up on some things. I think they're going to have a little bit of more success than they did the first time around, but Central has too much firepower. I don't think Central beats them by 40+. I'd give Central a good 28 points, though, because I do think, Cannon Mac's going to come out and fight. Ty Jansman's had a great year. They got some other key pieces there. TJ Sabatucci looked like a beast all year, the Buffalo commit. So I expect Cannon Mac to come out and fight, but how much? I don't know how much. It's just so hard to get over that Central team and the talent they have, especially up front in those linemen. So like I said, I got Central Catholic, and I got them by 4 touchdowns. Now, game of the week in 6A. They're going to be playing this game in Wexford, Pennsylvania. I was thinking about going, but there's another game we're going to talk about 12 minutes away from my house this week. This game's going to be interesting. As we know, I think Norwin only lost this game by 3 or 4 points the first time. I know it's 3 or 4. I can't remember which exactly. But as we look at this game, North Allegheny's not playing very good football right now. But you have to ask yourself, how much was that intentional towards the end of the year? They had it locked up, that number 2 seed. Nothing really mattered at that point. How much did they let up off the gas and pull back and save some guys? We don't, I don't know. I'm not on the inside of that program. I'm just asking from an outside perspective, asking outsider questions at the moment. So we're going to find out this Friday night what the Tigers are going to do. Are they going to be the Tigers that showed up the last 2 weeks of the season? Or are they going to be the Tigers that showed up and beat Woody High on week 0? We're going to find out. But I think the Norwin Knights, led by Tristan Tavares, who has been absolutely spectacular all season, and, I don't think he's got enough credit. I think he needs more. And what he's done over at that program, keeping them where they are, winning big games throughout the season. I believe he is going to get it done this Friday night in Wexford, Pennsylvania, against the Tigers. I think he's going to answer the call, have a big game. It's going to be, this weather is going to affect this game a little bit, but how much does it affect it? I'm not too sure, but I really think Norwin gets to their first ever WPIAL championship game. That's my pick. I'm going to roll with Norwin Knights. Now, anytime you roll against North Allegheny and Art Walker, it's usually not good, so I would not be surprised if my pick is not a good one, but I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to roll with the Norwin Knights this week. Let's get right into 5A. All right. Pine Richland versus Shaler. We talked about it last week on the show. We were all sitting on the couch talking about this one. You kind of get to the point in that Kiski-Shaler game, we're playing to get a playoff win. But, Shaler's going to come out, and you're mistaken if you don't think Shaler's going to come out fighting. They're going to scratch, they're going to claw, they're going to do everything they can to upset Pine Richland. It just comes down to Pine Richland's firepower. They got so much offensively between Khalil, Niels, Mac. I heard there might be some things happening. I'm not exposing any news yet, but I don't know if they're going to be at full strength. I'll say that. I don't know exactly who, but I heard they might be down one guy Friday night. But, Pine Richland's got so many guys, it's next man up. They got so much talent up front. They got the pick commit in John Coran, Braylon Price, the William and Mary commit. They just got so much talent. It's going to be tough to take them down. I just don't think Shaler has enough firepower to get this upset done. So, obviously, I'm going to roll with the Rams, and I think the Rams are going to win big. As I turn around here, I got to look at it because I really don't want to make this pick right now. This early in the show, this is going to hurt. Penn Trafford versus Moon. I did this game as game of the week early in the season, and I picked Moon to win that game. Penn Trafford's a lot better football team than people are giving them credit for. They only have one loss this year. That loss was to Woody High, who was undefeated in conference play. You got to look at this game, you got to look back, and you have to look at that film. Moon made a lot of mistakes in that game and almost won that game. So to me, that's what I'm looking at when I'm looking at this game in specific. And the way that Moon's clean, this game was before these teams even played anybody in their section. So this was early in the season. It was like week 3, I think, week 3 or 4. You got to look at it as Moon had more to clean up, and they almost won that game. That's why I'm going to roll with the Tigers this week in this game. I think Moon plays a much cleaner game than they did the first time, but I got burnt the first time around when Penn Trafford took them down, went down the field, 55 seconds, no timeouts, won the game on a Landon Stickle touchdown. I got burnt. So I'm a little hesitant with doing this, but Moons look great this year. They finally got over the hump, took down Upper St. Clair, took down Bethel Park, took down, some good football teams this year. They got over that hump that they couldn't get over last year. I'm going to roll with the Tigers. I think they go into Penn Trafford and they get it done this Friday night. Peters Township, Bethel Park. This is a much better football game than anybody's giving it credit for, in my opinion. These teams are both out of the Allegheny Six. They're right by each other. It's going to be a hard-fought football game. I think there's a little bit of an upset alert that you can go ahead and throw up there, but I think Peters Township is going to be too strong for them at the end of the day. But if I looked at my phone at the end of the night and I saw Bethel Park upsetting Peters Township, it would surprise me, but it wouldn't be the biggest surprise just off the pure fact of all the power they have offensively. Devine at quarterback, any given night can go off, and then Dennison. We know what he's done all year. Any given night, he could go for 300-400, but I think that defense is a little bit too stingy for Peters Township, so I think they're going to hold them in check. I think it's going to be a good football game through 3 quarters, and I think Peters Township's going to lay on them a little bit, use that power, that defense, and, they're going to make a couple key stops in that second half. Peters Township's going to win this game. I only think by 10 points. I don't think it's going to be more than a 10-point win for Peters Township this week, but I might be wrong. As we get into this last game, Woodland Hills versus USC, this is a classic game. We got our own graphic for this one. He's going to pull it up. Here we go. Up on the left, we got the all-time leading passer in Woodland Hills school history, Cam Walter. We got Scoop, averaging like 50 yards per touch. Ethan Hellman up there. I mean, Ethan's 70 yards away from being the all-time leader in USC school history, and then you have Nico Durazzo, Brown commit. This is going to be a special game. I mean, we didn't even talk about the other players up here. Ziggy Moore, NC State commit. Taylor Reed at running back's been great for the Wolverines. 1,000-yard year for him. I mean, Dante Curry's been special. Bryce Jones. There is talent all over the field. This is going to be a big-time high school football game down at the Wolverina. It's great seeing big-time football being played there. It's exactly what should be played there. Every game should be big there. This one's as big as it gets. I mean, if you look at it, tell the tape here, these two teams, the Wolverines are averaging 38.5 points per game. They're allowing 17.9 points per game. They come in as the Big East champions, the number 3 seed, 8-2 on the year. Upper St. Clair, as we can see, 41.2 points per game. They've been putting up some points this year. Ethan Hellman has been balling out. He's been consistent, high QBR rating. He's been great. Only allowed 13.2 points per game this year. First round win over Plum, 48-8. The last time USC won a WPIAL title was 2006, and Woodland Hills 2009. So this game is going to mean something. Both these programs are hungry. USC didn't have quite the year that they wanted, but they're in great position to, upset Woodland Hills this week, and they're in perfect position to get right back in this thing and knock Peters Township off. They're in this thing. No get back in this thing about it. This is going to be a great game. I think it's going to come down to mistakes. Who makes that first mistake? Who takes the momentum in this one? And, I don't want to pick it. And I know that's why I'm kind of stalling here. because it's about time for me to make this pick. I'm going to roll with Woodland Hills. I think this is the year. You got those seniors. They've been building for a long time to get to this point. Woodland Hills is going to win this ball game. I think it's going to be tight. I think it could be as low as a 3 to 7 point victory for Woodland Hills, but I think Scoop's going to have a great game. But I think, in a sense, USC is going to be smart about this, keep the ball away from him. I think other players are going to be asked to step up, such as Taylor Reed. He's been great all year. Give him the rock. Let him work. Ziggy Moore defensively has been big. You might have to lean on him a little bit offensively if you need him, but I know they haven't wanted to do that much this year, but I'm going to roll with Woodland Hills. Cam Walter, I feel like, is going to play one of the best games that he's played this year. He's going to come on late for the Wolverines. I'm going to go with Woody High. Done stalling. I think Wolverines win this game. Let's get into 4A. It's semifinal time. The first semifinal we have McKeesport, Thomas Jefferson. This is a rematch of the 2024 WPIAL 4A championship game, and also a rematch of earlier this season when I think it was 17-14, I believe it was. TJ took down McKeesport, but that guy right there, number 3, was not playing. Keemon Spell was out with the injury. As we break down this game, McKeesport comes in as the number 1 seed in 4A, 8-3 record. They play that tough schedule in the regular season, so a little deceiving there. Points scored this year, 36.2 points per game. They've only allowed 15.5 points per game. Last week, they took down Char Valley 44-7. Keemon went for 185 yards, 4 touchdowns. We know what he does week in and week out. But TJ, it's on record. They're able to tackle him. They did it last year in the championship game. You know, they're confident in their ability. We'll get to the pick. We're not getting there yet. Last WPIAL title for McKeesport, 2005. You know those Tigers are hungry. They've been down there. They've been in Acrisure. They've been in Norwin. They want that title. I think this is the year for them. We're going to find out this Friday night. They're going to have to get by. This team right here, Thomas Jefferson, led by Coach Bill Chirpek, the all-time leader in this thing, in WPIAL titles. I mean, this guy, he's the GOAT in the WPIAL. Number 4 seed, 9-2, 31 points per game, 14.3 points per game allowed. Last game, they took down Mars 35-14, and, you know, they made me look silly. I took Mars in that game, I'll say it. Last WPIAL title, as we know, 2024. Now the stalling is over. The breakdown is over. We talked about the stars up here. Let's talk about them a little bit more. Keemon Spell, the number 1 running back in the country, 5-star, accruing to all the recruiting services except ESPN, but they're late to give the 5 stars. 4-star, Javian Robinson. McKeesport's not known for their wide receivers, but hey, he has been phenomenal this year. Been able to make big plays when they need him. He'll go up top whenever they need him to, stretch the field. Matt Miller at quarterback's been consistent, done what they needed to do all year. And then a guy I really love his film, linebacker, Michael Wright Jr. has been excellent for them. He's going to be at linebacker for McKeesport this Friday night. Harrison Calling has stepped in for his first year starting as a quarterback. He's been really good for Thomas Jefferson, consistent, and just another guy just done what they needed him to do. We all know about star running back Tyler Eber. I call him the workhorse of the WPIAL. Week in, week out, he shows up and he's willing to take on 30, 40, 50 carries if he needs to give his team the win. Linebacker, Zachary Villa. You saw him earlier in the week on the PA Today page, laying the wood in the quarterfinal game against Mars. That was a brutal hit. I expect him to be one of the guys that are flying to the ball, trying to get Keemon on the ground this Friday night. Last, Zane Sable, offensive lineman, returning first-team all-conference offensive lineman. He's big for those guys up front. And you're going to have to get a push because Tyler Eber is going to have a great night. That is the breakdown for TJ and McKeesport. That game will be played at Chartiers Valley this Friday, 7 p.m. Now I got to pick it. First time around, I picked this game, Thomas Jefferson to win. Keemon was out. If you take a look at my bracket, I have McKeesport winning the 4A championship, so I'm going to stand by that. Keemon Spell is the best player in the WPIAL, and that's just what it is. I think he's going to have – he's angry. He's still a little bit ticked off from that game last year at Norwin and what happened. He's angry he wasn't able to play early in the season. He's not saying it, but you could feel it. We know what it is. Keemon's going to come into this game angry, and I think he's gonna run for a lot of yards. He's going to have some touchdowns, and he's going to lead this Tigers team back to the WPIAL championship, and I think they're going to get it done this time around. But do not be surprised one bit if Thomas Jefferson pulls this off Friday night. They are known for November WPIAL playoff football and winning those big-time games. That's what the Jaguars do. That's what Bill Chirpak does. Tyler Eber's been a part of that team. Zane Sable, these guys have been a part of greatness at that program. Last year, they were just a part of that. TJ, I can't put a spread on this game. Can I just say 0 and just – I really didn't even want to pick it. But I'm going to give McKeesport 7 points in this game. I think Keemon plays a great game, but don't be surprised if Thomas Jefferson pulls this one out. Let's get on to the next game, 4A, Game of the Week. Yes, it is Game of the Week again. I'm going back-to-back to a Newcastle game. It's 12 minutes away from my house. Leave me alone. I don't have to drive one time this year. Probably put 3,000 miles on my car. Let's get into it. Newcastle comes in as the number 3 seed, 9-2 on the season. They were the Parkway champions. Points scored this year, 29.5 points per game. Best defense in 4A, 10.7 points per game this year. 14-13 win over Montour in that opening round quarterfinal victory. What a game that was. The last WPIAL title for the Red Hurricanes, get this, 1998. It's been a long time, over 20 years since the Red Hurricanes have lifted that trophy. Let's talk about the key players for the Hurricanes. Quarterback, Marino Graham, the freshman. We know what he is. We know what he's been. We know what he's going to do. The Aliquippa Quips are going to come in there, and they're going to try to get that freshman to the ground as many times as they can, knock him around. They're going to try to hit him. But Marino Graham has shown he's tough. You can't just hit him. If you're going to hit him, you're going to have to hit him all night because he's going to come back at you. Wide receiver, Chase Lemon, number 0 for the Red Hurricanes. I think he's been one of the most underrated players for this team all year. Whenever you need a play, Chase Lemon has stepped up and made that play for the Red Hurricanes. Athlete, Kai Cox, does a little bit of everything for the Hurricanes. He'll play a defensive back. He'll come in, play at wide receiver. He can run the wildcat, run in the slot. He does a little bit of everything for the Hurricanes, gives them versatility. He's been great first year back playing football. Mason Cook, linebacker. Another linebacker I want to mention is Travis Wetzel. Them two, they were hitting some things this past Friday night. Those two set the tone on that defense for the Red Hurricanes, and they will be asked to do that this Friday night at Helling Stadium against this team right here. The Aliquippa Quips, the number 7 seed. You know, you don't hear that too often. 7-3 on the year. They're a wild card for the first time ever, I believe, because we used to not have wild cards. Now, let's break this down. Points scored this year, 25.2 points per game. Points allowed, 14.9 points per game. They beat Trinity in that first round quarterfinal game, 21-14. We all know about MJ Council coming back. I highlighted it in the recap show. Last WPIAL title, we all know about this, 2023. Aliquippa's got a ton of them. I believe it's 20. Key players for the Quips. Quarterback, MJ Council, Yale commit. He's been terrific all year. When he played, he went out. He's been out. He's come back. MJ Council's back. He's here to stay. He's going to try to lead these Quips back to a WPIAL championship. Running back, linebacker, J.J. Work. He's really answered the call this year. We knew what he was as a linebacker defensively, but stepping in offensively, playing running back, running the rock, he's been great for those guys. Athlete, I just call him an athlete. Khalil Poot, good. Wide receiver, DB, can do whatever you need, really. He's one of those guys that has that championship experience from that state championship run. He made a lot of plays on that run, a few picks in that state championship game. He's going to play special this Friday night, and they're going to need him to because Khalil, Pook is the difference maker for this Aliquippa team, in my opinion. But the other difference maker is Josh Lay. He's the guy that caught the touchdown from MJ Council last week. He's able to, stretch the field, and he showed that this year, that he's a true weapon. Another guy I want to speak about is linebacker Lester Longmire. He brings it every single game. You probably seen him 2 years ago breaking dudes' helmets. I mean, dude's a monster. And then you got Justice Starks, trench dog up front. He's going to get it done every single time. He's a monster. Friday night, he's going to be after it. He's a senior. These guys are seniors. This is going to be a highly emotional game. Newcastle versus Aliquippa this Friday night, PA Today Sports Game of the Week. Let's get right into 3A. Maybe the surprise of the week for me was Freeport, and that's not a surprise, I guess, because Freeport's a really good football team. I just thought Beaver had them, but Freeport takes them down. Let's talk about Avonworth Freeport now. I said that there's a small chance that Freeport can do this, but it's a small one. I think Freeport hangs around for a half. They play a really good game, but Avonworth's going to pull away late, and Avonworth tends to pull away late big. So I think you're going to see a little bit of a separation on this game. I think 21-point difference late. I'll give it to Avonworth. This game is a nightmare to pick. I don't want to do it. Elizabeth Forward, North Catholic. You got 2 star quarterbacks, Joe Felitsky for North Catholic, Ryan Messina for Elizabeth Forward. You got talent all over the place. These offenses are as talented as it gets. It's going to come down to defense. Whose defense steps up, answers the call, and makes the key stop when needed. North Catholic is yet to show that this year, and that's been my biggest fear when it comes to picking them in these types of games. And that is why I'm not going to pick them. I'm going to roll with Ryan Messina and the Elizabeth Forward Warriors. They proved me wrong at the beginning of the year. I said, I got you. I'm not going against you again, and I meant that. Elizabeth Forward rolls in this game. I think it's going to be close. I think it's only going to be a 7-point ball game, but I do have the Warriors winning this one. This is an interesting game. Amani versus Hopewell. Hopewell has all the makings to pull this upset off. I'm going to be honest with you. Put the ball in James Armstrong's hands and let him work it all night. Let him run the ball. Let him work it over the top to his receivers, his big play receivers. Put this game in his hands and let him do what he does best. Win ball games, put up the stats, move the chains. That's what James Armstrong does best, and I think that's what you got to let him do if you want to have a chance against Amani. But like I said Monday, Amani has 2 guys over there by the name of David Davis and Gabe Jenkins that are able to turn it on at any given moment in ways that I don't think any other athletes across the WPIAL are able to. They have that type of switch. They're that type of athlete. Amani's favored in this one. Look, I think Hopewell's going to give them a hell of a game Friday night, but I think Amani's going to find a way to pull this one out. I think that coaching staff is more experienced than ever. Those kids are more experienced than ever, and they're hungry over there. Amani's going to win this game by, I want to say 10 points. I want to say 10, 14 points. It's not going to be, I'm going to say 10 points. I'm going to go with Amani by 10, but this is going to be a great game Friday night in my opinion. Last game we have to pick, Central Valley at Highlands. I think this has a chance to be a close game. I really do, because Highlands has really played great this year. They've stepped up in big games. They took down Freeport when Freeport was undefeated. They've won some big games. They shut out Derry. We talked about it. First shutout playoff win in school history. But Ethan Shear has been outstanding for the Central Valley Warriors this year, running the ball. Yes, we know what he does defensively. Like, we talk about a lot of these guys across the WPIAL defensively, but they've stepped up and they tote the rock this year. He's been great. And, Coach Mark Lyons, one of the best in November. I think it's too much. I think Central Valley's going to roll, and I think Central Valley only rolls by 14 because Highlands is a good football team, but Central Valley's going to roll by 14 to 21 points, in my opinion. Let's get right into 2A. All right, the number 1 seed up there, Seton LaSalle versus Mohawk. Like I spoke about early in the week, I think Mohawk's going to throw a few punches, But I think Seton LaSalle ultimately for 2A has too much. They got the Will Martins. They got the Aaron Loritz. They got the Kymar Freemans. They got the Elijah Hickmans. Matthew Brodzinski's been great. I could keep going, and you can't do that about many AA teams in the WPIAL. You can only start naming 2 or 3 players, but Seton LaSalle, I mean, I didn't even name Kai Jones. He's one of the best athletes in that 28 class. They got guys all over the place that are stepping up. Seton LaSalle is going to roll in this game. I think they beat Mohawk by 21, but I think it's going to be a close game in the first half. Let's move to the bottom half. South Allegheny, Wash High, probably one of the most interesting games, I would say. Both of these teams lost to Steel Valley. That's something that you can take into account. South Allegheny got exposed at the end of the season against Steel Valley, and it kind of showed that they played some weaker competition. Wash High got exposed against Seton LaSalle and just not being as dynamic. And when I mean that, just it was a very basic night for them offensively. And Seton LaSalle was just getting guys in space, having their way. I think South Allegheny is a little bit better at getting their guys in space and letting their athletes ball. I believe Drew Cooks has a big night for South Allegheny. I think they have a really bad taste in their mouth after losing to Steel Valley and ultimately losing a bye in that first round. They had to play Waynesburg last week. I think South Allegheny is going to win against Wash High, but Tristan Reed is going to be playing angry, and he's going to be playing for everything. He wants it all this year. And, you know, he's really led this Prexies team back to where they need to be, and it's been really impressive. So before I pick against you, Tristan Reed, and your Prexies, I want to say it's nothing but respect to you and what you've done for that ball club this year, but I got to roll with South Allegheny. A lot of talent down there. I'm going to go with the Gladiators. It's going to be a close one. Western Beaver, Apollo Ridge. I said earlier in the week, put the upset alert up there. Oh, I want to do it. I want to pull the trigger on this one really bad. But Western Beaver is going to win this ball game. Amari at quarterback, Wyatt Sparbani at running back. As long as they're healthy, which I don't know, I don't have that information. As long as those two are healthy, I'm pretty confident in this team. Got a good crew up front, big line for 2A. Oh man, I think Apollo Ridge might do this, but I'm gonna roll with Western Beaver. I think they get it done this Friday night, but oh man, Apollo Ridge might knock them off. I'm gonna roll with Western Beaver still, just to stick with the bracket. Last game in 2A, Steel Valley, Elwood City. Talk to them boys Monday. Deron Barksdale's on a mission right now. It's going to be too much. He's too much. I don't think Elwood City's going to be able to stop him, unfortunately, Friday night. I think he's going to have his way at down at Steel Valley. Steel Valley rolls in this game by 14 to 21 points. Let's get right into 1A, our last classification before we wrap this up for the night. All right. Fort Cherry and Neshannock. We just had head coach of the Lancers in here. You know, I think Neshannock got the best matchup possible. I really do. I don't think Fort Cherry should be favored by anything crazy in this game because Neshannock has all the tools to play with them. I didn't say win this game, but play with them. I'm obviously going to roll with Fort Cherry as I have Fort Cherry as my 1A champion. But I only have Fort Cherry winning this game by 14 points. Gino Mazzocco looked great last year. He hasn't looked himself all year. If you know single-A football, which I know a lot of people don't watch it heavily and they don't remember the history of it, but if you go back, Gino's been a dog. Sophomore, junior, he's a dog. You know, he got a concussion late in the year against Jeanette. They lost that playoff game, lost a little bit of confidence, and it almost took him all year, but everything started to click in that Laurel game. Like Coach said, he had about 15 tackles in that Leechburg game. He started playing defense against Laurel. 2-way starter last week. Gino's playing great. So, I think Neshannock's I think they'll keep this close for a while, but Fort Cherry's going to pull away. And once again, 14 to 21 point favorite for the Rangers. All right, let's talk about the team that, maybe surprised me most this year because when I seen them last year, I feel like they were depleted against Neshannock. Let's talk about the Laurel Spartans. The Laurel Spartans deserve a lot of credit this year. The coaching staff up there has been great. Luca Santini, they put him in spots to make plays, special athlete up there at Laurel. Now, they're going to take on a Chartiers Houston team that is on a Cinderella run. Do I do it this week? Do I even make the Laurel people even more mad at me than they already are? Because technically, Southside was my pick to take down Laurel, but Char Houston upset them. No, I'm finally on your side, Laurel. Laurel's going to win this ball game. They're a different ball club this year, and then they're going to lose to Fort Cherry. But they're going to win this game. They're going to advance to the semifinals. I do have Laurel taking down Char Houston, ending the Cinderella run for the Bucks. Clairton and Jeanette. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think Jeanette's scoring a point in this game. And I'm going to take some heat for that. But if they score, it's going to be one touchdown. Clairton has looked that good this year that I don't think anyone's going to score on them until the championship against Fort Cherry. That's just my opinion. Clairton is going to – I think they're going to thump Jeanette because, they haven't played a really competitive game in a while. I think Jeanette's going to bring it a little bit more. It's a playoff game. Jeanette's got a lot of history. They never back down. We just talked about them upsetting the Big 7 champs from last year. I think they were a 10 seed. So I think Jeanette's going to bring it, but Clairton's going to want that. I think they're going to want to thump them. I think that's what's going to happen. Clairton rolls big. Last game of the night to pick, Bishop Canavan versus Fraser. I didn't see Fraser taking down California, and I had California actually upsetting Bishop Canavan. The reason why I had Bishop Canavan losing is because I didn't know what to expect with Brady Wagner going out and DeMar Old stepping in at quarterback. But you know what? He's slinging that thing around. They got athletes. What am I talking about? They got so many Division I athletes for a single-A school. I think they're going to handle Fraser this week. DeMar Olds, Justin Melvin, Minicon Johnson. I mean, they got talent all over the place. Bishop Canavan rolls. And, it's gonna be wet this weekend, and a lot of teams are preparing for that. I seen Amoni putting the balls in the bucket as they're doing handoff drills. But one of our partners at Game Day Football Prep, they can help you with that. They got the mixture to get these footballs to where they need to be for this weather. Get them right for this weather. So go ahead and check Game Day Football Prep out today. Go ahead and go over to their Instagram. Everything is up on my profile. If it's not up, it'll be up after this show. I'll get that up so you could go over and check them out. But thank you all for tuning in tonight. We'll see you this Friday night at Helling Stadium in Elwood City, PA for the PA Today Sports Game of the Week between the Aliquippa Quips and the Newcastle Red Hurricanes. My name's Jon Magusiak. Ron on the controls, PA Today Sports. We'll see you Friday.